Thank you, Madam Chair. It's interesting to me that once again the supervisors of the basin, neither of them are proposing action on what is quite clearly our most critical and most important basin. We have 5 basins that are going to be subject to SGMA. Each, as by board policy, is being treated separately, and I have no objection to rolling into this a discussion of all five basins. The reality is that the Paso Robles Basin is our longest standing one as regards trying to comply with SGMA. The voters have spoken in Paso Robles, and that vote has put this county in an untenable situation. We're in very serious issue as to how we're going to comply with SGMA, and to delay consideration of that seems to me inadvisable at best. We need action now. So I'd like to move we direct staff to agendize an item for April 5th, although I understand April 12th may be more viable date. Where we can consider the next steps for the Paso Robles Basin, receive a review of all 5 basins, all 4 other basins subject to SGMA, and to have within that agenda item items that we can take action on. For instance, it's my considered opinion right now that we might want to invite the state to take over the management of the Paso Robles, our part of the Paso Robles Basin, per their indicated action. So that's my motion, direction to staff to agendize an item.
Supervisor Arnold?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, let's finish the comment because I would like to make some comments myself too. So we have a motion on the floor and a second.
And a second.
Okay, Supervisor Arnold?
So it's interesting to me. Thank you. I was staring right at Mark Hutchinson to ask a couple of questions. It's interesting, once again, that the supervisors from outside of our district are focusing on our basin and calling it the most critical and most important basin when actually the Paso Robles Basin and the county flood control district has spent a lot of money studying that basin over the last 2 decades, and at last count may be overpumped by 2,500 acre feet. I think Mr. Hutchinson told me maybe on the outside last time we discussed this, maybe it could be 5,000 acre feet through the drought cycle overpumped annually and you can confirm this because we talked about it in a public hearing 3 weeks ago, that we have other basins that are much more overpumped. In other words, if we're talking more critical about sustainable basins, we talk about the Cuyama Basin, we talk about the Edna Valley, where the overpumping is much more considerable, maybe 20,000 acre feet. Or Mr. Hutchinson, can you take it from here, please, on that?
Madam Chair, Rita Neal.
Oh, we're getting too far. Okay.
No, it's okay. I just want to, let me just frame
Okay.
this for the board. Mm-hmm. So what we've got under the Brown Act, the board certainly can make brief comments in response to the public comments that were made. And there were certainly some public comments about the district, about the basins, all of the basins within the county. So it's certainly appropriate to make brief comments. It's also appropriate under the Brown Act to make a motion to agendize an item at a future date. To the extent, though, that there's extensive discussion about that issue. Yeah. I just want to caution the board to keep it rather narrow without cutting off too much.
Well, I'll invite the listening public then can go back to our last discussion of, I believe it was the drought update, where what I'm trying to say is that we have overpumping, maybe 10 times the overpumping going on in other basins of our county. We have 5 SGMA basins that need to come into compliance with the state. I would never vote to shirk our job as a public works flood control and water conservation district and just throw that to the state when we are more than capable of doing it. And I've said for years now, our public works department, their duty to the citizens of this county to provide water, Lopez Dam construction, lead county on the Nascimento pipeline, bringing water to help alleviate some of the groundwater pumping countywide. I would never, ever vote to shirk our duty to do this work on behalf of the county citizens. So we're going to have a vote. I will not be supporting this motion. I'm amazed that I'm working for the constituents of my county, and I'm trying to work for all of the county constituents countywide to make sure all 5 of our basins become sustainable. And I think that I would look forward to having a presentation so that we can holistically take a look at the county and decide where our public works resources can go and organize this in a way that we can be most efficient. So those are my comments, and I look forward to the vote.
Okay, I will make my comments when I see our CAO has his speaker light on too. So I find this incredulous that we just came off of a vote that was, I have been told, the largest loss ever in this county and possibly this state. And the two supervisors that pushed this through with no support from the people are the ones that are trying to control the agenda again. And to make the comment, they're doubling down, to make the comment that you want to invite the state to come in when you, for years, the last 2 years, have said, you don't want the state to come in. We have to do this water district, the special water district, the state will come in. And now you say we want to invite the state to come in. I find that just incredulous and unbelievable. We will comply with SGMA. It is a state law. We will comply. We have a year and a half to. The state is not going to come in and just take over unless we don't comply with the law. And I have full faith in our county departments that we will comply with the law. So I will not support this motion, and I don't want to get too out of the realm of what we're supposed to speak about today, and we have a big hearing coming up, so I'll turn it over to our CAO for comment.
I'd like to make a comment about timing and some staff concerns in terms of an update. If your board's looking for a comprehensive update on all 5 basins, that's going to be a Herculean challenge to do by April 5th or 12th, and I'll let Mr. Hutchinson speak to that in more detail if we'd like. Tentatively, we had been planning on providing a comprehensive update on all 5 basins in mid-May timeframe. Now, we might be able to accelerate that a bit, but we are going to need more time than April 12th to do a comprehensive update. One basin is one thing, but all 5 basins, including funding options and detailed analysis, is simply going to take more time.
Supervisor Meacham.
I think that the CAO makes a good point. The other thing is that we're coming up in May, I think in the mid-May, for the legislative, CSAC's legislative days in Sacramento. I intend to go. And I want to get a feel up in Sacramento exactly what, how, if something would happen from the state standpoint if they were to intervene. At this particular point, I think there's 2 ways to look at this. One is, as a flood control district or as the Board of Supervisors, it's our responsibility to take a look at not just one basin, but all of them, to see how we can manage all of this. But secondly, if in fact we had to do something as severe as to have the state intervention, I need to know more about how that would work and if in fact that would happen. So I would recommend that we do not agendize this in April and allow for us to have further discussion with our state legislatures as well. We're not going to solve this problem within the next month. And I kind of take issue with the fact of not taking action on things. We've taken a significant amount of action trying to get somewhere with this. So I'm not going to support the motion. I would like to have the time to further investigate, not only with our Public Works Department, but also our legislatures.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Supervisor Gibson, a second by Supervisor Hill. Why don't we go ahead with the roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Meacham?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Arnold?
No.
Ms. Compton?
No, ma'am. All right, we will move on with our